What's going on, interwebs? Some more Titanfall 2 gameplay as a backdrop to this video, which is, I don't know, a rant, I guess. It's not really a rant. It's more of a commentary piece. I don't know. It's an opinion piece. Kind of a clickbaity title. I think I'm gonna title this our game developers lying to us, or game companies lying to us. There's two types of lying. Okay, there's like the white lie, and then there's like the black, horrific lie. In gaming, in my opinion. The white lie is like where you say something's gonna be in your game, or you say a feature's coming out, and maybe it comes out, maybe it doesn't come out, and if it does come out, it comes out like way later than you originally said it was gonna be. Prime example of that, fuck that guy. Prime example of that is like Rockstar and GTA's heists. I mean, it wasn't a lie, but it was a distorted truth. I'll put it that way. Because heists did come out. It just took 1 or 2 years? Was it 1 or 2 years? I think it took about 1.5, somewhere between 1 and 2 years for Heist to actually come out after launch. Which again isn't a lie, because they did say it was going to come, and it did come. It just came way later than anyone thought it would be. And another example is Ubisoft. They're big on the white lie. Their trailers are rendered with in-game footage and probably on like the most amazing PCs money can buy, you know, because that's their livelihood. They make the games on PCs. But with like Rainbow Six Siege and even The Division, and I'm beginning to think Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, I think that's a Tom Clancy title. I don't know, but it's being made by Ubisoft. But Wildlands, I'm beginning to think those trailers are kind of like the white lie, you know. I guess those graphics are not going to be the graphics that we get on consoles, I don't think. But games they have done it with are most certainly, you know, The Division and Rainbow Six Siege. Go back and look at like the E3 and Gamescom trailers for Rainbow Six Siege. That footage looks fucking phenomenal, with the lighting and the nighttime raids. It looked phenomenal. And then when the game came out, you know, the graphics weren't shitty, but they weren't as good as what the trailer showed. And that's just graphical downgrades, and they've been doing that a lot lately. They are becoming notorious for it, and quite frankly, I think they need to fix that.
Excellent work, everyone.
I think they're slightly redeeming themselves lately with like Rainbow Six. Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I think they slightly redeemed themselves with that, especially after the train wreck that Unity was. But Ubisoft is definitely notorious for the little white lie, with graphical downgrades. And then Rockstar is notorious with the, again, it wasn't a lie because Heist did come, but the way they made it sound, they made it sound like it was going to be out when the game came out, like when they started GTA Online, and they started that whole trailer shit for that. They made it seem like it was going to be out upon release and launch of GTA Online, and then it took, again, like a 1.5 to 2 years for it to fucking actually come out. So it did come out, so it wasn't like a total lie, but it was almost one. And then there's the horrible lie, the black lie. And I'm sure people are fully aware of what company has become notorious for that. And I'm gonna talk about it. lot of people already have, and have gotten a lot of dislikes just because there are these diehard, like, No Man's Sky fans that are like, no, fuck you, I'm gonna dislike your video because you're talking shit about a game I like. Don't use the dislike system as your own personal vendetta machine, just like the fucking copyright strikes. Just don't do that. I mean, really? If you dislike it because you dislike it. Don't dislike it because, you know, the person has a difference of opinion than you. But that's a whole nother issue for another video, if that video is ever made. Hello Games, the people behind No Man's Sky. I don't know about the company as a whole, and again, I can't speak for the game itself, because I don't own a PS4. The only reason I would buy a PS4 is if Final Fantasies became Sony exclusives, which I don't think they ever will. But if they did, I would be forced to buy a PS4, because I love me some Final Fantasy. And in fact, Final Fantasy 15, fun fact, comes out the 29th of February, which is the day after my birthday, so I'm like fucking... I'll be honest, when they announced that, I almost creamed in my pants. But anyway, Hello Games, and Sean Murray in general, since he's basically the face of Hello Games right now, because he's the one in all the fucking interviews. No offense to the man as a man, but as a game developer, he's a goddamn liar. Take it from me, you know, I'm not an expert, but for a person who took classes on spotting fallacies and not phallics, alright? I'm not talking about dicks. Fallacies, lies, falsehoods in people's words, their actions. I took classes on this shit, you know, for my criminal justice degree. The man was lying. He was outright flat lying. There's no if and or but about it. You can tell by his body language, his facial expressions, his overall tone. When he first started these interviews in the development process for No Man's Sky, he was confident, you know, he had definitive answers. Will there be multiplayer? Can we play with our friends? Will we be able to see other players? There was no hesitation. He flat out said yes to all of these questions. There were no ifs, no ands, no buts, no maybes. There was just certainty. There was no cracking in his voice. There was no pause, no hesitations. There were no excuses. It was a definitive yes. And then about midway, or close to the end of the development cycle, the people were asking the same questions. You know, they weren't loaded. They weren't different in any way. They were still the same fucking questions, because that's what gaming journalists do. They drill the game developers on the same questions over and over and over and over and over. So it's the same questions. And yet, the difference this time was he was making the excuse as to, oh, yeah, you can play with people. You know, it's multiplayer. But there's so many planets, you know, the odds of that actually happening are astronomical. Puns. But that was his answer. He was like, and, you know, I paused and stalled a lot in that thing, because that's what he did when he answered the question. He paused a lot, he stalled a lot, he didn't give a definitive answer. He made excuses, the whole quintillion, whatever number of planets. You know, he's like, there's so many, the odds are astronomical. But that was his answer. His answer changed from a definitive yes to a yes, but. Not only that, then his facial expressions were like really contorted, like he was trying to hold in a fucking turd that was like desperately trying to escape his ass. Yeah, he did He looked nervous. He looked jittery. He looked downright almost fucking confused. He didn't have the same bravado that he had in the beginning of the development cycle, and it showed. And to anyone who is trained to look for that stuff, it's blatantly apparent that the man was just he was trying to cover his own ass without saying that the game wasn't multiplayer, because if the game wasn't multiplayer, no one would have bought it. Because who the fuck is going to sit there and play a game that has like quintillion planets, or however many, like obscene number of planets that you can go to, and if it's a single player experience, and when it's all when it's grindy as hell, and you have to farm for literally hours to do anything. I've seen live streams, I've seen gameplay. It's fucking ridiculous how much shit you have to do just to get the tiniest of fucking things. It is ridiculous. That game is heavy on grinding and farming. No one was gonna buy that game if that type of experience was gonna be single player. I guarantee you a huge percentage of No Man's Sky sales were based purely on the fact that, hey, I could play this with my friends. And it seems to me like if... And here's another dead giveaway. It seems to me that if multiplayer and co-op was a thing, then you should have been able to matchmake somehow. You know, kind of like in The Division, where you had those laptops in the social hubs, and you can go to it and matchmake. Or you can just invite your friends through your Xbox, you know, through the Xbox Live Party. I don't know why I said party weird. Xbox Live Party, or, you know, just off Xbox in general. Or if they didn't want you to do that, they could have set up like a social hub, like on every fucking planet, you know, put that into the code. Or something, you know, have something in the matchmaking menu, kind of like with Destiny, where you can see your friends playing and you can invite them, you know, something. But to my knowledge, he never even mentioned anything like that. So that's a huge red flag right there. Yes, he said there was like space bases and stuff like that, but I don't think he ever mentioned a matchmaking system. I don't think he ever mentioned anything like that was in place, you know? It seems like if you have like quintillion planets, but it's multiplayer, excuse me, I have the burps, that you would make some kind of fucking matchmaking thing. You know, it's just common fucking sense that if you're like, yes, it's multiplayer, yes, you can play with other people, that if there were so many planets and the odds were so low that you could find somebody, that you would have a matchmaking thing in place. But to my knowledge, he never ever mentioned anything of the sort. And stuff like that, if it's single player, with all the grinding, the fucking, like, never-ending story, almost, that shit is not going to appeal to people if it's single player. I mean, if that's just unrealistic to think somebody would want to play that unless they're like a huge Star Wars nerd. And I'm not trying to be insensitive by calling anyone a nerd. Hell, I'm a nerd. Like I said in the beginning, like I almost fucking creamed my pants when they said that Final Fantasy was coming out on the 29th. You have no idea how much I wish it was coming out on the 28th. But John Murray is a fucking liar. That's just it. The man is a liar. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I mean, you know, if you liked it, drop a like, comment, maybe subscribe. Trying to hit 45 by the end of September. But you guys are awesome. Later.